As a music education major, I am part of an organization here at DBU called TMEA. It stands for Dallas Baptist Music Educators. Every year, at the end of February or at the beginning of March, a convention is held in San Antonio called TMEA, which stands for Texas Music Educators Association. It is here where music teachers celebrate their triumphs, hard work, and look forward to next year, attending seminars on how to teach breathing exercises. Should we be using Kodai's methods of lesson structure in secondary as well as elementary? The answer is yes. And what sheet music to buy for our choirs. There is even a square mile room just filled with every instrument imaginable. And when you walk in, it is a wall of cacophonous sound that is unlike anything else. At the end of this convention, there are a series of concerts. Now, when many of you were in school, you most likely heard about the All-State Choir, All-State Band, or All-State Orchestra. If you have not, you've probably heard of Region, which is the first round in the process. It is essentially the best secondary musicians in the state. Before the performances, the head of the organization speaks and reads the cumulative SAT scores of the musicians on the stage and compares it to those who are not involved in music. This is a very deep and important moment for all of us, because for many of us, it is a justification of what we do as music teachers, and that has a justification in other content areas. Music uses all areas of the brain. It has several different aspects. Some people call music a language. Some people say it's very numerically based, therefore math is involved. Much of music relies on its history, and the content of physical education is of vital importance to all musicians, not just the vocalists, but all musicians. However, in depth, let's look at the language and reasoning. When someone is playing music, there is a line to the music, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and always a recurring theme. Many of the times when we interpret a set of notes, we must view them within the context of the line. Context clues in music are important. Music is also great practice for memorization. We not only memorize songs, but must memorize vocabulary such as crescendo, or fine del capo, or treble clef. The students learn to evaluate music in quantitative approaches, even more so when it comes to rhythm. Now, in a measure of 4/4, a half note is 2 beats. Now, whenever a note is dotted, that note becomes worth 1 1/2 the note's natural duration. But Jeremy, you say, because we're on a first name basis, that's mainly visual. How can this translate into a math class? I'm glad you asked. If x equals 1.5 and h equals 2, what is hx? Also, in the music classroom, strategy is crucial for sight reading, as there are many steps for solving an equation in math, so there is an order of operations in music. 1. Establish the key. 2. Establish the time signature. 3. Read the rhythm. 4. Read the notes. 5. Slow down and put it all together. Integrating music with history is one of the key building blocks of introducing a piece. Whenever a choral director introduces a piece of music, they will usually say what year it was published in. And they will usually ask the students what was going on in this time in the world. And that can be a significant factor in the performance of a piece. For example, Ludwig van Beethoven. Although he lived in Venice, he heard about Napoleon Bonaparte and how he admired his rebellious spirit and attitude against tyranny. So Beethoven dedicated his Third Symphony, Eroica, meaning heroic, to Bonaparte. In the middle of writing it, Napoleon declared himself Emperor of France. If you were to look at the original transcript of the Third Symphony, you will see this. The word Bonaparte furiously scratched out and replaced with dedicated to the memory of a once great man. Now, in an orchestra class, if you told the students that, how would that affect their playing? They would most likely play with a little anger because they understand and can apply the historical context. Also, practicing music and performing music are two completely different things that both come with benefits that can be transferred to other areas of learning. For performance, it builds self-confidence and an ability to take risks easier. The world of performance is one of risk and experimentation. Just as there are several ways to perform a piece, there are also several ways to approach a task or a test. For practice, it becomes a daily habit, as well as something that might have started off as extrinsic in the beginning, and as time goes on, they experience the intrinsic reward of self-discipline and enjoying the challenges. Music isn't responsible alone for this. It also works the other way around. If it were not for math, they couldn't understand rhythm. If it were not for reading, context would be difficult to grasp. So would be for the language aspect. If it were not for general studies, music would be lost as well. Music matters, but not only to music, and vice versa. General studies matter, and not only to their classroom, but in ours too. As teachers, we have to be a support network for each other. No one teacher is responsible for a student's learning, but we all are collectively. Thank you.